Hey Trade Pros, Victorio from Trade Pro Academy. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing well. If it's your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you've seen a lot of our other videos, this is going to be another banger, right? This is going to be another secret tool on TradingView. As you know, we are in love with volume. We trade based on volume, and today we're going to add more confluence to our already amazing volume analysis by adding this secret tool on TradingView. This is going to be the best indicator you're going to be using for the year. So this indicator not only allows you to dissect a volume analysis, but it helps you understand where the market is going and build out confluence for your support resistance areas. What we're going to be doing is finding imbalances from buyers and sellers to help us understand where the market is going next, our own little crystal ball. So if you guys are super excited about this video, stick around for the intro and we're going to be breaking this down. We're going to have to go to the screens though, because today we're going to be talking about, you might have guessed it, Delta. We're going to be breaking down two different indicators on TradingView that you can find. I'll show you where they are, what to look for, how to break them down, and the settings for Delta to help you build up that volume analysis. So you're not going to want to miss this video. It's another amazing indicator that we found, and it's mainly a tool, right? It's not a buy and sell signal. It's mainly a tool to help you understand how to read the markets like a real trader. So let's jump into the screen, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hello everyone, as promised, we're back on the screens here, and what we're going to be breaking down is two extremely valuable indicators here on TradingView, and we're going to show you how to find them, right, what they are, break them down step by step individually, and they are based around volume and delta. First and foremost, you guys know this like little volume down into the lows, right, the histogram that shows you where volume sits, right, on a daily session, on a trade session. A lot of people look at this and say, well, okay, there's a lot of green volume here, right? That suggests buy side. Well, to debunk that initially, right, because we're going to be replacing this actually, this is just very simple volume that exchanges hands as a zero-sum game, right? If someone is selling 300, right, shares or contracts, someone has to buy those, otherwise they don't go through the market. So this volume just shows you net volume. I can change the green to orange. It doesn't necessarily matter what the color is. So what we're going to do is actually get rid of this. And we're going to be talking about two very important volume analysis tools or indicators, right? The first is a cumulative delta down into lows. Now, this cumulative delta, we can use it for any asset. I have the S&P 500 E-mini futures here because that's what I predominantly day trade. But if we go into, for example, let's say like NVIDIA, right? You look at NVIDIA, this could be used for stocks, right? This on a 15-minute chart. What's your favorite stock, right? I heard someone say Apple. I'm just making it up. But you can see anywhere we go, you can find this cumulative delta that gives you an understanding of the actual net buying versus net selling in a specific day, in a specific asset, so on and so forth. So before we dive too much into this, right, let me show you one more name here, and we can go to any chart, right? We go to a 5-minute. Why don't we go to a 2-minute chart, right? We'll go to a 2-minute chart and see how this delta shapes up for the day, right? So let's open this up a little more. And what this delta is, right, it's going to be ask volume minus bid volume, right? So market buyers minus market sellers necessarily. So when we have positive delta, when it increases like this, there's a suggestion that the upside has a continued move. Now, this delta can be used a few different ways. Number one, with momentum. So for example, you can see the drastic decline in price here. However, delta, right, doesn't decline back into where it started. There's very limited net selling on this move down, right into a key block of support. And you can see how delta rises into new highs as we come and trade the most equidistant high. This suggests that the momentum is still to the upside, and you're most likely going to get a cumulative delta break to the upside swing, right? This cumulative delta break happens as you can see that there's divergences between price and the net delta. At a certain point, right, price tops out, and you can see You're getting stagnation on Delta as price stagnates. It wasn't the craziest of sell waves, you can see right here, based on net selling. And then we start turning this machine back on. Now, what's to note is that this Delta, right, again, yes, it did drop off a cliff. It came back to the originating Delta start, right? However, price got extremely beat up, suggesting that there is a potential reversal in the general direction of this trend. So where do we get this delta from? Right? We can use it on any asset we've seen on an intraday basis, but where do we get this delta from? So if we look at this delta, right, it's actually called, what is it called here? CDV. So it's a cumulative delta chart, right? This CDV. Cumulative delta, you can figure out all of the styles and the actual settings here. But if we jump into indicators, right, we type in CDV. So what we're going to be doing is looking at the cumulative delta here on the indicator metric from the lonesome, whatever this is, right? This is where I got it from, naturally the most popular. So 5,800 uses right now as I'm recording this. But you can get the cumulative delta from here, right? We click it, and I'm not changing anything realistically. I like it as is. And what it shows you is momentum, right? General momentum, divergence, and trending moves, right? If I take a step back on this, when you take a look at any other day here, when it comes down to a delta perspective, right, we get a originating drop pretty aggressively in price here. Let's open this up. We get an originating drop in price where delta is fairly negative, right? But we start slowly climbing, and all the pullbacks on the delta, right, they're non-existent, right? Net selling just gets absorbed, and just continued positive momentum movement. The thing with delta is you see the general strength in the movement, but it's also a very, very valuable tool in terms of divergence, right? A divergence tool. So for example, if the price in the market is actually making higher highs while delta is not doing so, or making lower lows while delta is not doing so, the strength in that momentous movement is probably going to fizzle out, right? Now, I've gone through some little convergences, divergences here as examples to give you an understanding of this movement. So the thing is, right, when prices make equal lows here and delta continues with more aggressive sell side creating a lower low based on a delta giving us momentum, there's a pretty strong likelihood that the price actually continues lower. It's a very similar thing here. As you can see, price is almost flat in terms of this last low, while delta actually stalls out much, much higher on that pullback. This suggests that this pullback is probably going to get bought up into that next momentum move. Right, let's take a look at one more example here before I show you the next indicator based on delta. So this is another one here where you get a pretty drastic drop, and delta is super, super negative here, right? Obviously, you see a very significant drop, but the pullback here in terms of pricing is pretty aggressive, but the delta on the buy side doesn't extend as far necessarily. This suggests that these highs are most likely going to get sold because delta is still net negative on the cumulative basis, trying to push prices lower. The selling was still overpowering the buy side, right? And those buyers that came in, they didn't even stand a chance on this rally that almost came back into those most recent tops. So it's a very great tool for intraday trading. You could use it on any asset, and I highly suggest you take a look at that cumulative delta. So let's take a look at our second delta indicator. It's going to open your eyes to not only directionality, but levels that you can use as confluence to your already support resistance areas. I wanted to show you guys one last thing. You can use it on a wider scale chart as well when we talk about cumulative delta on a larger frontier, right? In terms of this, a 15-minute chart now. And you can see how delta actually changes. You can see that there's mass selling, continuous lower lows and lower highs in price, and delta agrees with that. When we start seeing shifts in delta, right, when it gets a lot more positive and actually sustains a reversal, we can look for that medium-term turnaround. Right now, though, even as we approach these lows, you can see delta net selling is still more aggressive than those most recent lows that we've seen. So let's dive into the second Delta reading here. What we're going to be doing is opening a volume profile with Delta by TradeMaster Lite, right? So let's open this guy up. Let's take a look at the settings as well, some things that I might have changed. If we go into the inputs, right, I made it an open range, right? I used the classic design, and I started it from a quarter-to-quarter basis. So September 1st, and I go quarter-to-quarter. So the end of December, once that hits, right, we'll open it up for January until March. So those are the changes. I just use this on a quarter-to-quarter basis, so it's fixed. I don't have a visible range, so it's not just like wafting all over the place. And what this shows you is obviously a volume profile chart, but I'm more interested here on the right-hand side. We have all of these delta blocks, positive and negative. Large negative ones are net sellers. Now, a common misconception that's different from the cumulative delta that we have in front of us is that when you have these big net selling or buying delta blocks, right, based on a histogram here, they don't necessarily suggest that it's buying and selling, right? Because if you have, well, it does, but you have to read into it a little more, right? There's certain aspects that you have to understand before looking at this, because, for example, you have a lot of buy delta here, right? People are expecting price either to gravitate towards it or to be above it, use it as support because they're buying, they're not buying. Now, let's think of this in a different way, right? So we have net buy delta over here. Right. Obviously, there's sellers and buyers that exchange hands into this area. What happens from this net buying is that there's contracts that are getting bid into the highs, right? And there's a lot of them because they think that price is going to run up. These are most likely what we call weak-handed traders that are late on the trend and they're trying to sustain price, right? Like whether they're trying to buy as price dips into it, but most likely we're trying to buy as price is actually breaking through and is being used as resistance now. And they're buying aggressively, right? But these are weak-handed buyers. So price is continuously dropping through, suggesting that these longs are actually getting stuck and the short side is going to open up. So big delta blocks are used as key support resistance areas in price. That's why over here you have this plethora of huge negative delta into the lows on the SPY, right? This is the SPY ETF. This has been holding as key support that I've been playing off of, right? Because these guys are doing the same thing. They're selling into lows, but they're getting trapped into said lows, right? Allowing for buy stops to run higher. So that suggests that anything back under this area, right? We can say 420.50, let's say, you're going to open up a very powerful sell side move. And you also have a resistance at 424.5 all the way up to 425.5 based on this delta and naturally where this positive delta is. So when I look at this, right, I can base a strategy off rejecting these areas, but I can also base a strategy if we start breaking through this 426, 427 area, because these buyers are going to be extremely happy with that, and we're going to get launched into the next areas to the outside, right? Because that buying is going to overwhelm price as new buyers start entering that area, as we start running back above, because they see this as a clean bid. So like the cumulative delta, we can throw this chart on anything that we want, right? Maybe we want to trade some NVIDIA, right? It's going to give us an understanding of where this key delta sits, right? What else do we want to trade? We want to trade Amazon, let's say. We can trade Amazon. You can see where these like really aggressive delta areas are. So a lot of people were selling into that 130 yesterday. You have this huge main support into 126. Let's say Tesla, right? Tesla, you can see what's happening. Obviously, that earnings gap. There's a lot of negative net delta here. So I'd say there's a really strong support region that starts at that 212, maybe 210 area. It's going to be difficult for prices to break above 222. But once that starts, right, and you start accepting 222, 225, you're going to get that larger extended move that targets that 245 area. So dips in Tesla, right, I'm looking to buy into these because they keep selling into lows, but nothing's really coming of this, right? So we're going to be targeting next areas of delta to the upside. So two massive indicators, cumulative delta down at the bottom, right? That allows us to understand momentum, strength in buying and selling. And we have histogram delta, volume profile delta that allows us to identify massive sellers, massive buyers. Are they getting trapped or are they serious about the price action? based on a profile that allows us to strengthen support resistance levels, direction and moves, and more. So these are the best indicators on TradingView, I think, for this year. And I think everyone should at least take a look at them. And you can build outstanding strategies around these areas. So with that being said, I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this video, learned a lot, because these are tools that I use on a daily basis. And let me know what you think in the comments, right? Are these tools for you? Are you going to check those out? Let me know a little more about your trading. Are you a Delta fan, a volume profile fan, and so on? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Drop a comment also down below what else you want to see based on TradingView and or other platforms. Thank you and take care, everyone. Hope you guys really enjoyed that video and really understood what Delta is. Not only that, but how to use it on TradingView to build out confluence, direction, and confidence in your strategy based on what we've shown you today. 2 different Delta tools at your disposal on TradingView, free indicators that I think everyone needs to know about, right? So if you guys enjoyed this video, if it's your first time in TradePro Academy, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below, right? If you guys have stuck around with us, this is yet another volume tool that you could use in your analysis, and drop a comment down below. Do you guys use volume analysis after watching all of our videos, or what is your trading strategy? I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching and take care.